21 in the gray hymnal, For the Beauty of the Earth, seemed appropriate for today. Thank you. You may be seated. Good morning. I'm Ken Willingham. I'm your worship leader today. So ours is a welcoming community. We find connection and meaning. A sharing community where our joys are amplified. A caring community where our sorrows are lessened. We also welcome guests from Facebook Live and our Zoom audience. We welcome everyone, regardless of race, creed, color, social level, economic status, gender identity, or whom you love. All are welcome here. Oh, I was going to call for visitors, but we don't appear to have any. Any church announcements this morning? Yes.
Good morning. Just one announcement today. The new members class is next Sunday, right after the service. Excuse me. We'll have a babysitter for those of you who have your children here, and then Chris will provide pizza and drinks for lunch. I guess it's about 2.5 hours. So you'll learn a lot about Unitarian Universalism and become an official member. Thank you. And we had Friends Night Out on Friday. It was fun. It was at Fujiyama up in North Park, and it was great. So thanks to Lorna and Steve for recommending it, because it was really good.
Any other church announcements? Okay then. Well, each week we spend a few minutes stepping across the aisle to meet and greet and welcome each other to this fine day. Please join in, and I will ring the little gong when it's time to go back to your seats. Go for it. About ready? Mark? About ready? Okay. Thank you, sir. May I have a volunteer to light the chalice? Hey. Let this flame symbolize a divine spark of light embedded in all living beings. May its flame lead us to greater knowledge and tolerance. May its warmth lead us to deeper love and compassion. And may its light lead us to greater wisdom and understanding. Yes, each of us is but a tiny flame, but together we can enlighten the world. Thank you. Thank you, Jennifer. Congregation leaders, both volunteers and staff members, work diligently throughout the year to be careful and attentive stewards of the congregation and its funds. Countless meetings, reports, documents, and budgets are necessary to maintaining the health of an organization, especially one that has endured over many years, and in fact, generations. We depend upon our tools and on our teams to track where every dollar goes, and they do just that. But the gifts you make to our weekly offering or through your annual pledge represent far more than the lines on a spreadsheet. Your contributions are a tangible commitment to the mission and vision of this congregation. Each time you give, you renew this commitment. And as a result, your support is entwined with all that we believe and all that we do here. Together, this is its own special gift. In the spirit of trust and generosity, we gratefully accept the offering. Now, may I have 2 volunteers, please? A little nippy here this morning. Nancy was kind enough to start the heat on as soon as she got here, so it's getting much better now. So thank you very much for your donations this morning. I think our treasurer will put it to good and judicious use. Story for all ages. In light of this morning, this is a Picture a Tree by Barbara Reed. If any children would like to come up, I'll move down. Children of any age, pick an age. Okay, sitting on the floor is fun and all can be interesting. Find my place. And this is to Ruby, who I'm assuming is her daughter. Well, you may see a drawing on the sky. May see a game of dress up. The first drops of color, then all the art supplies at once. Yeah, the colors in the fall are magnificent. A tunnel or an ocean. That tunnel of trees going into Newburgh too. It's a little sparse this time of year, but boy, in the springs and summers it is gorgeous. A tree can be a high-rise, home sweet home. It can be a pirate ship, a bear cave, a clubhouse, a friend. Some trees are sun umbrellas on the hot walk home. There are baby trees, in-betweens, grown-ups, and grandfathers, probably grandmothers too. You may see the end of one thing or the start of something new. Leaves fall off, next year they grow back. A wild goodbye party. There's the fall for you. A glow in the darkness or skeletons. Some trees put on snowsuits. Every winter tree holds spring, sleeping like a baby. Picture a tree. What do you see? Thank you. So I'd like to read something from Howard Zen, to be hopeful. To be hopeful in bad times is based on the fact that human history is a history not only of cruelty, but also of compassion, sacrifice, courage, and kindness. If we see only the worst, it destroys our capacity to do something. If we remember those times and places, and there are so many, where people have behaved magnificently, that gives us the energy to act, and at least the possibility of sending this spinning top of a world in a different direction. And if we do act, in however small a way, we don't have to wait for some grand utopian future. To live now as we think human beings should live, in defiance of all that is bad around us, is in itself a marvelous victory. We take a few minutes each week to reflect on our joys and sorrows and acknowledge the mutual support of our community. If you would like, you may come forward and take a pebble from one bowl and place it into the bowl of water to acknowledge the rippling effect of your sharing. We always start with joys. Each week we take a few moments to meditate or sit quietly. And just really sit quietly, open yourself up, expand yourself. Take advantage of the energy bubble that you are in. As you go about 8-10 feet each direction, up, down, sideways, doesn't matter. Just feel that for a few moments. And now we will sing number 123 in the gray hymnal, Spirit of Life. Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart, the streams of compassion blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice, roots hold me close, wings set me free, Spirit of life, come to me, come to me. Now I'd like to introduce Jerry Rairdon, who is the Director of Development at Wesselman Woods. Please.
Director of development is just a fancy word as I go get the money. I want to thank you for this opportunity today. This all came about because of your church sign. I was driving by on my way to Wesselman Woods, and I saw you had a sign that said Creation Care. Well, as Director of Development, I am always looking for people who care about creation and the environment. And so I got on your website, looked up the number, emailed somebody, and eventually you got back with me and said, hey, let's make this happen. So that's why I'm here. I have recently moved here with my wife, Nancy. Nancy is a very talented person. She, I know, was perking up when we heard all the theater stuff. She did some community theater. Her claim to fame was being Lovey Howe in the musical, Gilligan's Island, the musical. So, yeah, so she likes that kind of stuff. So anyway, so we're just love the spirit here, the positive nature that you have and all that you're about. I came here because I was a United Methodist pastor for 42 years and decided to retire to be near my two daughters who live here in Evansville. And so I wasn't ready to stop. I feel like I still had something to give back, and the job at Wesselman Woods came up, and so that's how I ended up there. I wanted to bring up that Creation Care sign because it tells a little bit about my story and why I'm here, why I care about what God has given to us. And so I do apologize. I might get a little preachy sometimes. It's kind of hard to get that out of you, after 42 years, okay? And I've always believed in creation care. I mean, I've talked about it in sermons. I've always had a great appreciation for the creation story in the Hebrew Bible because I feel like it gives a sense of the order that creation has been given to us. But I have to admit that probably for me, creation care was more an abstract thing for most of my time. It's something you believe in, you assent to, but I can't say that I was doing that much about it. Yeah, we do recycling and little things like that, but it really wasn't something that was a passion for me until an experience I had just a couple of years ago. At my last congregation in Noblesville, Indiana, our church was gifted in 1983 a 120-acre tract that included farmland and quite an acreage of woods that fronted the White River north of Indianapolis, about a mile frontage. So it's quite an amazing piece of ground. And 5 years ago, we made the decision that it was gifted to be a retreat center, and it has always been used as a retreat center. In the summer, the church would have services outdoors there, which is a pretty cool thing. But 5 years ago, we made a decision to convert it also to an organic farm with the goal of raising fresh produce for Hamilton County food pantries. In its fourth year, we became self-sustaining, so had a lot of work to do with that. But in that fourth year, we also had a unique experience that really was an aha moment for me. Because in that experience, we had a gravel company come to us. The lower portion of our property had a lot of gravel in it, and they wanted to excavate it. And they were talking about somewhere in the ballpark of $1 million would be the amount that we would be given to it. Well, with our food security mission, that was quite something to look at. We could do a lot with $1 million. We had this dream of a 4-season wash pack, a fresh produce barn that we could grow vegetables year-round and process them year-round for food pantries. So it was something we had to take a look at. But then when we considered it, and I need to let you know, our operations team was all volunteers, and we had a team of people that represented every spectrum of the political spectrum. I mean, we had people that voted for Donald Trump. We had people that couldn't stand that name. We had people that were very much you might call a tree hugger, and others that they still think that climate change is a myth. And so that team rarely unified on anything. But when it came to that offer, it was quick and over. In one meeting, we said, no, we can't do that to this property, to the wildlife. This is. And I have to tell you, it kind of opened my eyes. I began to realize this is something real and concrete. If it could pull us together with such divergent attitudes, then I had a role in helping to protect that as well. And that, for me, changed something inside me. Environmental care, creation care became something very tangible and real. So when I retired and started looking at what I wanted to do here in Evansville, the Wesselman Woods thing popped up, and it seemed like a calling to me. So it's my new mission, it's my new ministry. And that's why I'm here, because it tells us that creation care requires an investment of all of us to do something. We can't do everything, but we all can do something to make this world a better place, because if we take care of the environment, it will take care of us. So that's why I'm excited to be here. And I really appreciate what you are about. I took a look at your 7 principles when I was preparing today, and I love that 7th principle you got. It says, Unitarians respect for the independent web of all existence of which we are a part. That's a great way to live. And my perception of Unitarians all through my life has been that you're in the business of doing justice. You're a lot less worried about correct belief and much more worried about making this world a better place for everybody. So that's what I want my life to be about. And thank you for being who you are. So let me talk about Wesselman Woods now. So Wesselman Woods, I think of as one of those hidden gems that we sometimes take for granted. When I was younger, we had family in Missouri and Colorado. So every year, our summer vacation was heading out west. And I remember as a kid being over an hour away from Denver and seeing those Rocky Mountains in the distance. You ever had that experience? I mean, you're that far away and then they just get bigger and bigger. It was a thrill every single time. And I've often wondered, now, if I lived in Denver, would I just kind of take that for granted? You know, just there, that amazing feature. Well, that's the same way I feel about Wesselman Woods. Coming new, I think it's the most amazing place. It is the largest urban old-growth forest in the country. When I say old growth, I mean like virgin forest. It's untouched, never been clear-cut, never been farmed. And you just don't find that everywhere. The largest urban old-growth forest in the country. Our executive director likes to call it the lungs of Evansville, because all the carbon that it's soaking up, it's doing something for you all the time, whether you realize it or not. This past summer, we had a dendrochronologist. Can you say that? Dendrochronologist. I had to work at that one. Dendro means study of trees. Chronologist is chronology or dating them. And they've got a unique method. He came in and he cores this little sliver out of a live tree. It's smaller than a McDonald's straw. And he takes it out, he glues it to a piece of wood, he varnishes it, and he counts the rings, and then he does some computerized cross-dating, and determine the exact age. Well, he cored 110 different trees, and thus far he's still finishing that work, that cross-data checking. But we found one tree, a black gum tree, that's 325 years old. 325 years old. Now we have older trees than that, but after a while they start hollowing out, so you can't measure those. But we know for sure we got a tree that's 325 years old. That dates the late 1600s. Think about that history. Audubon State Park in Henderson, it's a beautiful park. We know its history. It was planted during the WPA in the 1930s. That forest has 20 different species of trees. Wesselman Woods has between 50 and 60 different tree species. A unique treasure. Wesselman Woods also contains the Wellborn Baptist Foundation Nature Playscape that was started in 2018. The vision for that property is that children can go and play, climb on trees, take risks, swing on vines, and get dirty, and it's okay. We think it's a place to get kids off their screens and into the world in which they were created. And it happens to be, with 5 acres now, we just opened the Bernhardt Family Bird Sanctuary. At 5 acres, it's the largest nature playscape in the country. And then we also happen to manage, we sometimes refer to as our stepchild. We have Howe Wetlands on the west side of Evansville. We manage that as well. It is the largest urban wetlands in the state of Indiana. So all those things make it all very special. But what's even more important about Wesselman Woods is that it's a hub of environmental education for all ages. We offer the Indiana Master Naturalist course. You can take that. Tom, have you taken that? Thank you. It's great. I'm taking it this January. I'm looking forward. I'm looking forward to become a nature nerd, as we like to say around there. We have research projects going on by U of E and USI students out there. We are bringing back field trips that COVID shut down, and bring those back is a little more complicated now. Schools are having trouble staffing transportation, and so we're having to do extra fundraising to make that happen. In 2023, we're going to have what was called the Sprout Initiative. We got 3 schools, Kays, Delaware, and Evans School, in which we're going to do a pilot project in which we bring kids out to Wesselman Woods, but also bring our educators in 4 times a year and use that for language skills and increase their environmental understanding there as well. And why is that important? Let me tell you about another thing that happened this year. So Methodist Temple make that relationship last more than just a year. But one of the things we had to do, because the schools are not allowed to give us the family information of those students, so we had to send the kids home with a voucher that they could take, and then they bring that voucher in to get their membership process at Wesselman Woods. So we went into every classroom, made a presentation about what they need to do and how to do it. And the person making that presentation would start with a question, so how many of you been in the woods? Have them raise their hands. And she tended to just kind of get the kids talking and get them excited hearing about what they enjoy. But I sat and watched that. In every single classroom, there was at least 4 or 5 students who had never been in any woods. No woods at all. Well, think about that. Think about what they're missing out on. So that's one of our emphasis at Wesselman Woods. We've started this past year the Eco Access Initiative. And that dream is to make the woods accessible to everybody, regardless. Yes, we do charge admission, we do have memberships, but we want to make sure that nobody's left out from experiencing that. So we've formed partnerships with Big Brothers, Big Sisters, Habitat for Humanity, Young and Established, Cancer Pathways, and Warwick and Vanderburgh County Libraries. Any person can go to the library and check out a pass and come to Wesselman Woods now because of that initiative. So, of course, we have to pay for all that. So that's where we have a lot of help that we need. Let me tell you just a few of our projects quickly before I wrap up here. We are been tasked with the city. Next year, we'll enter into a contract to reforest the par 3 golf course that's now been abandoned. If you've been in there lately, you know that golf course off to the right as you're headed back to Wesselman Woods. They want us to reforest that. And we want to do more than just plant trees. We want to recreate the DNA that's in Wesselman Woods in that par 3 golf course. We've got dreams. If the city follows through on all of its dreams for what they're going to call Roberts Park, we believe we need to build a new nature center. It's going to be a big dream down the road. We're right now raising funds for a new treehouse feature within the nature playscape to make it more and more a place where kids want to come back to time and time again. And we have a goal of putting a nature center out at Howe Wetlands. We're looking at a $300,000 project that will have a full-time manager out there to make that a destination as well for all people. And we believe that Wesselman Woods is one of those unique tourist attractions that can make Evansville a destination. So we're working to make it a special place that you want to come back to again and again and again. So to do that, we need everybody's help. We have a staff of 10 full-time people, 4 part-time people. In addition to that, we have a budget about $800,000. We get a city contract of $187,000, which represents only 23% of our annual budget. So all that has to be raised through grants, submissions, memberships, donations, bequests, all those ways to make that budget. So what can you do? At the very least, become a member. It's not hard. $50 is a family membership. It gives you access year-round and discounts on other events. Consider making a gift to Wesselman Woods. There's also grandparent membership. It's $40, so you can bring your grandkids anytime you want. Take the Master Naturalist course. You'll learn so much and have a great appreciation. Most of our volunteers come from people who took that course. And become a volunteer. Every Wednesday, we have a group that comes and alternates between Wesselman Woods and Howe Wetlands, and they work in the morning and then eat lunch together and head home. You can be a front desk volunteer or be a volunteer for one of our special events. So all those ways you can help. And the message I always give to people is that we're a private nature preserve. The city gives us that little bit that helps, but we don't get government funding beyond that. So keep in mind, this is your Wesselman Woods. It belongs to you, and it takes all of us to make sure that it's here for future generations. Okay, questions?
Very good presentation, thank you. Questions, comments?
I know there's a controversy with the pickleball courts. How do you think that will affect Wesselman Woods' mission?
Good question. In case you didn't hear, he's asked about the pickleball courts, and we're getting calls all the time about that. We don't have anything to do with that decision. There's Wesselman Park, which is run by the city Parks and Recreation Department, and then there's Wesselman Woods. Totally separate. We don't have anything to do with that. So I've heard people talk about it impacting. I don't think it'll have an impact. That's far enough away. And with all of our plans to reforest, we got plenty of forest. I think the biggest complaint I read that might have some legitimacy is that some people use those meadows to play in. If the city does follow through with what they plan for Roberts Park, I think there'll be plenty of spaces like that. So, and I happen to play pickleball, so I wouldn't mind having 24 pickleball courts nearby. But anyway, Wesselman Woods has no stance on that, but that's my opinion. Good question.
This isn't a question, more of a comment. Back in the olden days, when I worked for what was then Siggyco, I was the company writer, and I was writing a history of the company. So I looked way back, and I even looked back at the history of Evansville. And this whole area was covered, they said, with hardwoods. It was called the hardwood capital of the world. And they had all kinds of manufacturers here, like there was Cargus furniture, that was, I think, came later, but they built coffins, they built all kind of furniture, everything, and all the hardwoods just disappeared, so that we have the open land that we have now. So I'm amazed to hear that Wesselman survived without everything being cut down and turned into something else. So especially that black gum tree, that's amazing.
It is.
That's just wonderful. So
If you can read the history on our website. It's really just dumb luck that it's there. The first Caucasian settlers that came across the Ohio River, they had a series of deaths in the family, and so they never were able to clear cut it and farm it or do anything else. And then the next family, he was near retirement, and the Wabash Erie Canal was coming through. And so he found a way to raise horses and donkeys on it and made some money that way. So again, he didn't clear cut it. By that time, he started to get to the point where preservation was starting to become something people were concerned about. But it's a unique history.
Any other comments or questions? Okay.
I loved hearing all the projects that are going on and how it's becoming accessible for everyone. That's great. And I hear your call. That's good. I will look into that. But also, I'm also glad to hear that Wesselman Park and Wesselman Nature Center are not connected
Yes.
by the way it's run. I didn't really realize that, so thanks.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest challenges. They've not had my position since 2016, and they knew to do the projects they need to do, they knew they needed somebody that's focused on that. So that's really why I'm here. One of the challenges I have is trying to differentiate that. I'm hoping, I've told this to the mayor, when they build Roberts Park, let's just rename all of that as Roberts Park so we can differentiate that. I don't know if that'll happen or not, but he's heard that. Yeah, well, of course, the Roberts Stadium. So they've got some pretty nice plans to redevelop all that, bring trails through in a nicer way. They got a roundabout plan, and all that's supposed to go in by 2023 because Mayor Winnick would like to get that done before he leaves office. One thing of that park, that area is something very special to our mayor right now. He's got some history there, and he'd like to see that through. The pickleball will be right next to the tennis courts that are already existing right now.
To the immediate east of the tennis courts, is that where?
Yes, that open field's where they're talking. I think at one time they had some stadium plans, and because their dream is to bring in tournaments. Pickleball is the fastest growing sport in the United States right now. And so there's potential to bring in visitors to Evansville. But that would have required taking some trees out. And so they backed off that, it's my understanding this time. Okay.
This is really just a comment, not a question. I kind of grew up running around in those woods. I had a cousin that lived on St. James. This is before the Lloyd Expressway was there, and we could very easily ride our bikes to the woods. And so every chance I got, that's where we were, just running around, chasing frogs, looking for turtles, just hanging out in that place. And I just want to reiterate what a gem it is. And it is really one of the things that Evansville has to offer that other places don't have. And so I'd like to echo the call to support it in any way that we can. I just think it's a fantastic place. And thanks for your work.
Thanks for sharing that, Tom. Let me leave one additional thought with you. With the reforesting of the Par 3 golf course, we're working at acquiring more land. And if that falls through, we think when you connect that, you can't take that bridge over the Lloyd with the Evansville State Park, we literally will have as much acreage as Central Park in New York City. So we kind of bat around that this can become Evansville Central Park.
Thank you. Okay, our closing hymn today is Familiar, number 1064, Blue Boat Home. And it may stand. Oops, I have one other thing to go first, I think. No, I don't. I'm in order. That's good. Okay. Mark.
So I'm not used to playing this on the piano. I didn't bring my guitar, so you guys need to belt it out. I'm gonna play, and you're gonna sing. Okay. So, thank you.
Low below me I feel no motion, standing on these mountains and plains, far away from the rolling ocean. Still my dry heart can say, I've been sailing all my life now. Never harbor or port have I known. The wide universe my sail and move my rudder as I ply the starry sea, leaning on the edge in wonder, casting questions into the deep, sailing here with my ship's companions, all the kindred pilgrim souls, making our way by the lights of the heavens in our beautiful blue boat home. I give thanks to the waves upholding me, hail the great winds urging me on, read the infinite sea before me, sing the sky my Savior's song. I was born upon the fathoms, never harbor nor port have I known, the wide universe, the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home. Thank you. Now we'll extinguish the chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Closing words, Barbara? Barbara has a poem she'll read for the closing words.
Well, I remember this poem on Veterans Day. After Tom's service, he read several poems. I have a book, it's called Saved by a Poem by Kim Rosen, and there is a CD with it, and they have all the poems and an explanation. And this poem is the very last one on the CD. For some reason, it's not in the book. I don't know why. It's written by a very young man named Cameron C. Penny, and it's read by a young girl named Grace Yi Nan Hao. And there's the word enemies is in the poem, and she pronounces it enemies, which makes it even sweeter, but she has a really sweet voice. It's called If You Are Lucky in This Life. If you are lucky in this life, a window will appear on a battlefield between two armies. When the soldiers look into the window, they don't see their enemies. They see themselves as children. They stop fighting and go home and go to sleep. When they wake up, the land is well again. And I thought that just fit so well. So thank you.
Thank you. Proper ending. Go in peace and light, and may your being bless the world. Go for it, Mark.